United States President Donald Trump has said that if the war in Ukraine is not stopped now, it could lead or escalate to World War III, with the visiting French President Emmanuel Macron insisting that Russia is the aggressor of the war, hence Russia must pay damages as part of the negotiations for the peace deal. But the US, in another meeting at the United Nations General Assembly on Monday, joined Russia to vote against a resolution condemning Russia over the war in Ukraine. Trump and Macron answered questions from the White House reporters after the French president attended the G7 meeting in Washington on Monday. President Emmanuel Macron during the press talks corrected the US President Donald Trump after Trump said Europe would get its money back from Ukraine. The two presidents spoke to the reporters during a meeting at the Oval Office in the White House in Washington, D.C., when Trump said Europe was loaning its aid money to Ukraine and they would get the money back. Macron interjected and said, "No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total effort and it was loans, guarantees, grants, and we provided real money, to be clear." Adding that Europe has billions of Russia-frozen assets which member countries in the continent intend to use to get their money back during peace negotiations with Russia. Macron added that, in respect to international law, European countries in possession of the Russia-frozen assets can only use proceeds of the frozen assets while the war is still ongoing, but they cannot take over or take possession of the assets until a peace deal is entered with Russia. It would be recalled that Trump and his team have been negotiating a minerals revenue sharing agreement with Ukraine to recoup some of the money that the previous Biden administration had sent to Kyiv in the form of weapons to repel Russia. Emmanuel Macron and Donald Trump have sought to smooth a transatlantic rift on Ukraine, as the US president said Vladimir Putin was willing to accept the presence of European peacekeepers to end the war. Trump said Vladimir Putin has no objections to European peacekeepers post-peace deal but warned the war could escalate into World War III if not resolved. Trump also stated that he is helping Ukraine like no one has before. Donald Trump said the Ukraine war could end within weeks as he met with French President Emmanuel Macron at the White House to discuss the conflict. Meanwhile, US joined Russia to vote against a resolution condemning Russia as the aggressor in the war in Ukraine, but larger numbers of members of the United Nations on Monday voted in favor of the resolution supporting Ukraine's territorial integrity in the face of staunch opposition from Washington, which pushed its own language that declined to blame Russia for the war or mention Kyiv's borders. The European-backed resolution marking the conflict's third anniversary won 93 votes for and 18 votes against, with 65 abstentions. Washington sided with Moscow, as well as Russian allies Belarus, North Korea and Sudan, to vote against. Close observers said that the resolution won far less support compared to previous resolutions on the war. Incoming Chancellor of Germany Friedrich Merz on Monday says the Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu can visit Germany despite the arrest warrant issued on the Israeli leader by the International Criminal Court (ICC) over Israel war with Palestinian fighters, Hamas in Gaza, just as Merz also said that his government will do all he could to build good ties with President Donald Trump-led US government, but he's ready for the worst if the US decided to act otherwise. Friedrich Merz, who spoke in his native language during a press conference in Berlin, Germany on Monday, said he would make sure Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu could visit Germany despite the ICC arrest order. The press conference held a day after his Conservative Christian Democratic Union (CDU) party won national elections, saw Merz saying he had told Netanyahu in a congratulatory phone call that the pair should meet after a new German government is formed. Friedrich Merz, in his words as interpreted and reported by Al Jazeera, said, in the event that he, Netanyahu, plans to visit Germany, I have promised myself that we will find a way to ensure that he can visit Germany and live again without being arrested. I think it's a really absurd idea that an Israeli prime minister can't visit the Federal Republic of Germany. He will be able to visit Germany, Merz said. Netanyahu's office had said Merz had invited the Israeli Prime Minister to make an official visit to Germany, in overt defiance of the scandalous International Criminal Court decision to label the Prime Minister a war criminal. In a statement on Monday made available by the Office of the Israel Prime Minister indicated that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had a warm conversation with Friedrich Merz, who following his victory in the German elections, has become Chancellor-designate, and congratulated him on his victory. Chancellor-designate Merz thanked the Prime Minister for the conversation and said that he would invite him to make an official visit to Germany, in overt defiance of the scandalous International Criminal Court decision to label the Prime Minister a war criminal. It would be recalled that, in November 2024, the Hague-based ICC issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu and his former defense minister Yoav Gallant as well as Hamas commander Mohammed Deif on charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Both Israel and Hamas say Deif was killed in July in an Israeli airstrike and Deif has not been seen in public ever since. AFP International News Agency also reported that the German conservative election winner Friedrich Merz said Monday that he would seek good ties with the United States under President Donald Trump but was also ready for the worst-case scenario. I hope that we can convince the Americans that it is in our mutual interest to maintain good transatlantic relations, Merz said at a press conference, a day after his CDU-CSU alliance came first in national elections. But as always, you have to deal with the worst-case scenario, he said, warning that all the signals we are receiving from the United States indicate that interest in Europe is decreasing. Merz also said he had Friedrich Merz, the newly elected incoming Germany Chancellor, has said that his aim is to achieve Europe independence from the United States, saying, the current US President, Donald Trump cares less about the security of European countries and promised to work with the prime ministers and leaders of other European countries to set up alternative Europe Defense Alliance Treaty Organization by June 2025 when the meeting of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, will be held, adding, Ukraine will be put in a position of strength. Friedrich Merz stated this at a televised roundtable discussion with political leaders on Sunday after his party, Christian Democratic Union, CDU and Christian Social Union, CSU won 208 seats to score 28.6% of the vote in the Sunday federal elections in Germany. The Alternative for Germany, AfD political party came second in the election with 152 seats, winning 20.8% of the vote. AfD shared opposing views with other political parties in Germany and the views are apparently in line with the style of administration President Donald Trump is currently administering in the United States. AfD was supported by US tech billionaire Elon Musk during the electioneering campaign. Mobs of left-wing protesters took to the streets on Sunday to make a scene in Germany following the AfD's significant achievement of capturing 20.8% of the vote. Prior to the election date, an estimated 250 people took to the streets in Amsterdam to protest against the AfD political leader, Alice Weidel, a place where the politician has lived in the district of Amsterdam with her partner and 2 children since 2018. It would be recalled that in early 2024, there were widespread protests against the far-right Alternative for Germany, AfD party in Germany, following a report by a group of investigative journalists that reported AfD proposals to organize mass deportations of foreign-born Germans, including those with German citizenship. The protesters said they were out on the streets to defend the German democracy from the AfD, with many protesters calling for the party to be investigated by the Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution, or banned altogether. Similarly, a second wave of protests erupted in early 2025, shortly before the federal election held on Sunday the 23rd of February 2025, and the citizens of the European country continued the third wave of the protest after AfD, backed by US government official Elon Musk, secured 152 seats, which stand out to be the best election result the AfD party has ever secured in a national poll. This, local observers in Germany say Friedrich Merz and his political party will likely face complex negotiations with their rival political party to form a coalition government. President Donald Trump, while reacting to the German elections via his Truth social media handle, said, "Looks like the Conservative Party in Germany has won the very big and highly anticipated election. Much like the USA, the people of Germany got tired of the no common sense agenda."
Condemning, bringing you the news in a more digital way.